Very good morning, students online. Able to see my screen? Okay. Offline and online both. Today's topic from your chapter number 8, it is Rabin-Karp's algorithm. Now again, this is a string matching algorithm, okay, where you are given a text, you will be given a pattern, fine, and you'll be given a q value. Q value is nothing but what you can say a size. Right, these three things will be given. Whatever I have written there in the red, that will be given in the question. What you have to do here is you have to start matching the strings. Now before I explain you this example, okay, I will give you one small example, an easy one to understand the concept first, and then we will come back to this example here. Okay, let's say my text value and my pattern value. All right, let's say my text value is a b c d b and a. Okay, and my pattern which I have to search is what? bb. All right, now we can see that we will get a match here directly. If you just compare your text and pattern, you'll see that you'll get a match here. But in this Rabin-Karp that we are discussing, the topic that we are discussing here today is your Rabin-Karp string matching. Okay, what we need here, we need here some hash values. Okay, hash value of your pattern as well as hash value of your text. Now let's say I am denoting these values, okay, these abcd values as 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Okay, my numbering values. All right, and let this d and b, so or let's say from a b c d, right? So a b c d, I'm giving numbers as this won't be 6, sorry, uh, b again 2 and this is again 1. I'm giving the values as 1 2 3 and 4. This is my number system regarding the letters. All right, when we are actually calculating this, we will calculate the ASCII values of your ABCD. Right now, to understand the concept, I'm taking ABCD values as 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, in the text, if I give, it is, I am giving according to their values here. So, B and A here is 2 and 1. Okay, and here D and B value will be what? 4 and 2, right? Okay, now if I generate a hash function for this, let's say I'm generating a hash function, okay, for my pattern as well as for the string. When I say string, it means this text. Okay, so if I generate a pattern and let's say suppose I am going to do the addition of these two, 4 plus 2. Okay, so 4 plus 2, the answer will be 6, correct? And what is the length here? Length of my pattern? 2. Okay. So I am going to compare. Comparison will be based. First comparison will be based on length. Okay. Length of pattern and the text. So as my pattern length is 2. Okay. My pattern length is 2. So I will compare two text or say two characters from the text at a time. So in one iteration, I will be comparing two letters from my text along with my pattern. The reason is my pattern length is 2, so I can only compare two at a time. Fine. So after that, what will come in the picture? The hash function. Okay. You will first select what to compare or say whom to compare. Okay. You will first select whom to compare. And then second, you will come and say after selection, you will compare their hash functions. Now hash function, the pattern, you all are aware with the hash functions, I suppose. Okay, so hash function will differ from user to user. Right now for this example, I am taking that hash function will do the addition. Okay, you can also do multiplication, you can also do subtraction. Fine. For this particular example, now I'm going to compare the hash function. Now my hash function says that I have to add the values. As I have added here, 4 plus 2 equal to 6 I did. Alright, so in the same manner, I am going to do the addition for those text characters which I am choosing. So in the first iteration, okay, text that is getting chosen is what? AB. Okay, what is the addition of AB? 1 plus 2, so that is 3. Okay, and what is my pattern? Hash function for my pattern, what is it? Hash function of my pattern, it is 6. 4 plus 2, pattern is DB. Okay, 4 plus 2, that is 6. So hash function is what? 6. Now 3 is not equal to 6. Correct. So this two strings does not match. So what we will do? We will go one step beyond. First we compared this AB. Okay. Now this AB is not getting matched. 3 is not equal to 6. So you will go one step ahead. So instead of now AB, you will go with B and C. Okay. So that is your second iteration. In your second iteration, again, you see what is your text hash value for B and C. If addition is the hash function I'm doing, what is the hash value? 3 plus 2, 5. Okay. The pattern hash is what? 6. Alright. Again, we are not getting a match. So you won't do any string matching at all. Okay. You are just doing here what? You are matching the hash values. If hash values match, then you go and search whether the string is matching or not. One more thing here. There will be cases where hash function values are matching. That means I will get, maybe in the future, I will get where I'm getting 6, a match in the hash values. But when you go and compare the string values, okay, it will happen that they are not matching. The string that I want, or say the pattern which I want is what? B and B. Okay. In here, suppose if I add one more, let's say this is 1 right now. Okay. Let's include C and C. Okay, so this will be 3 and 3. Okay. So see what I'm telling about this hash values getting matched but string not getting matched. We know that in this third or fourth iteration, in the fourth iteration, we will get our pattern, the required pattern DB, because the hash value will match. Like if you see, if we go for third iteration, okay, what is the text? Give me the text value. No, I just want text value, not the hash value. Text value. Which will be the two text values? C and D. Okay. And the hash function for it will be 7. Pattern hash function. It is 6. So again, not a match. So again, we will go to the next one step ahead. In fourth iteration, what is the text? DB. Correct? Now for DB, the hash function will be 6. Pattern hash function also 6. So now here the hash function matches. We don't know whether the string is going to match or not. Okay? Hash function is matching. So now we will go with the string matching. What is the string of my pattern? DB. Here, what is the string that I am selecting? DB. So they match. So here there is one match. So what you can say, at number 4, you got a match. Okay. Now if you go further, in the fifth iteration, okay, what is the text in the fifth iteration? BA. Okay. Hash value will be 3. Again, not matching. Sixth iteration, value is AC. What is the hash value? 4. Again, not matching. Seventh iteration, CC. The value is 6. Now my hash function values matches for the pattern as well as for the text. So now you will go and check whether the character of the pattern and your text, they are matching or not. So in here, you have DB. There you have CC. So it is not matching, but hash function matches. So this is what a circumflex hit. This hit is known as circumflex hit. It is known for this name because the very reason is your hash function matches, but string does not match. Okay? Something like you can say the boxes are matching, but the content of box is not matching. Okay? So this is the whole idea of Rabin cart. You will find out what is the hash function. Okay? You will be given the text, you will be given the pattern. Okay? Q is the length value, or you can say 11 here. If you can see in this particular diagram here, sorry, in this example, it is written as 11. If you count here, the text length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, sorry, this had to be 10. Fine. Q here is 11. So what we will do here is 26 mod 11. Why 26? Number of alphabets. Okay. We are finding the hash function using the number of alphabets, that is 26 mod 11. 26 number of alphabets that you need to remember. D value. In some of the books, if you refer or if you are referring, there will be one D value. Okay. So that D value is nothing but your alphabet length. And that is total 26 alphabets. So 26 mod 11, that will give you 4. Now you will start comparing. All right, this 26 and 31 here. Now see, 31 mod 11, it is 9. It is not matching, correct? So you shift with 1 right. All right, so you will shift. So now the match happens between 1 and 14. Okay, in 1 and 14, again 14 mod 11. So that is 3. So again it is not matching. So again you will shift 1 right. Okay, now 41 mod 11, that is equal to 8. Okay, so 26. So again it is not matching. So again one step you will move right. Okay. Next will be what? 15, 1, 5, mod 11. Okay, that is equal to 4. Pattern is not matching. The mod did match. If you see here, 26 mod 11 was 4. Okay, the pattern is not matching, but mod is matching. So what is this? Spurious hit. Okay, the example which I gave you. So this is your spurious hit, and this hit is what you can say a waste of hit, because you are getting a similar mod, a matching mod value, or you can say a matching hash value, but you are not getting the required pattern. So this is your spurious hit. All right, this can be a one marker definition. What is spurious hit? So you have to tell that in Rabin-Karp, when hash values are matching of your text as well as pattern, but when the strings are matched, the strings did not match. That becomes your spurious hit. Students online, are you understanding? Okay. So you will go on next. After 15, you will go on to 59. 59 mod 11, again 4. Again, it is a spurious hit. Okay, that mod is matching, but pattern is not. So again, you'll shift. Now you get 92. 92 mod 11, again mod matches. That means your hash value matches, but pattern is not matching. And at the end, you get what? 26. 26 mod 11, that is equal to 4, where you are going to match the pattern and you'll get the match also. So pattern and mod both are matching. So here you can say that you found out a string that you are required to find from the pattern. Okay, and you will end here only. You won't go further anymore. Is this method clear? See, this particular method comes usually in 4 marks. Okay, so you just have to explain what is Rabin-Karp. So you can say it is a string matching algorithm. Fine, where you are being given a text and a pattern. What is required? A hash function. Okay, a hash function for a text, hash function for your pattern. All right, when the values of pattern and the text are getting matched, then only you will see whether the string is matching or not. Otherwise, you are not doing string matching. See, in the naive base, the very first, if you remember, in this naive method, okay, what we were checking directly the strings. Okay, if you see Ram eats mango, that is the example. Okay, and what was my pattern that is to be searched? Eats. So what I was doing, we were comparing each and every character directly. E with R, okay, it is not matching. So go to the next one. E with A, again not matching. So go to the next one. E with M, again not matching. Okay, so what you are doing, you are directly comparing the characters. But in the Rabin-Karp, what you are doing, you are finding out a hash function first for both, for the text as well as for the pattern. Okay, you are comparing that hash values. If and only if that hash values are getting equal, then you go and check whether the string is matching or not. If it is matching, then good, you got the pattern. You found out the pattern. If it is not matching, but the hash values are matching, that becomes your spurious hit. Okay, that's the concept of Rabin-Karp. Anyone is having any doubt? Students, yes or no? Students online. If you find what? No. No. Okay. One more thing about this chapter is There is no PPT out there, okay, because this chapter everything is like this only, string matching and all. So if you want, I can directly give you these notes which I have, okay, and this is all again, to be very honest, previous year's notes, okay, these are not my handwriting. So if you want this, then of course you'll get this, or if you want my notes, I can scan it as one unit and I can give it to you. So what is your choice? You want these ones? No, there will be a little bit of difference. There will be a theory written. I mean, theory in the sense steps will be written because that is how I understand for myself. Okay, so I think you will get a little bit of written form also, and then there will be one example. It is not like this. Like suppose if I just go to Rabin Carp here, okay, in this Rabin Carp, you are directly, I'm starting with the example because I am going to explain you what is to be done in which step. But in my notes, it is written first a little bit of theory, like what is the introduction part of Rabin Carp and all, and then step by step the the instructions are written. So I was not sure which one to provide you people or which one you were comfortable with. So that's why I'm asking here that you want this particular because again I have three notes regarding this chapter. And I think you guys must be aware about it also. Like you must not be the new one. This is one notes of same chapter number 8. Okay, there also you will find Rabin Carp. See here. Again, there is one another example. But things are going to be same. Okay, P mod Q. So that pattern mod Q it is taken and mod values we are going to compare. So it is going to remain same only. Just the examples will change. And as I told you, I have total three. This one is converted into from PPT. Okay, the first lecture of our string matching that I showed you was from this. This is a PDF converted from PPT. So which one you guys prefer? You tell me, or else I should upload all these three. You can choose for yourself then. My notes. Okay. What about you guys? Online students, you want all these three and you will do it, you will compile yourself. Okay. All right. Fine. See, now the only one topic remaining in this chapter, I will show you here only because this is a little bit more clear. That is handwritten, scanned. The only one topic which is remaining here is your knife with tuples. Okay, string matching with finite automata. Okay, so this particular topic I'll be taking tomorrow, not today. We are taking one topic at a time because seeing to your capacity, I think it is too much for now. Okay, so this particular last topic of unit number 8, tomorrow, string matching with finite automata. You are free to read about it if you want. And along with this, tomorrow I will also start your unit number 9, that is NP hard problems. Again, for this unit number 9, it is just a theory to be understood. Okay, I will tell you which are the important topics and which are the topics that you should do in that unit number 9. We will cover all the topics. I'm not going to miss any. All right, but which are the main topics that you should refer for your examinations or for your, you can say, competitive exams? Okay, that I'll tell you. All right. So that is for tomorrow. Any doubts in today's session? Anybody? Any doubts in today's session? Okay. All right. So the session does not end here because midsem is coming up. So there will be some practice of the already solved sums. Okay, so kindly take out all of you your books and pen. I'm not giving you any new sums. Okay, we are going to go for already worked out sums. Book nahi kaado. Unit 4, Unit 5, Unit 6 and Unit 8. That is what we are going to do not today. Okay, do you guys remember job sequencing? Remember this example, job sequencing. You were supposed to ask me about this, okay? Okay, let's do it. I suppose your doubt will get clear. If not, then you have the 10 minutes of time. See, this is your greedy problem. One of the greedy problem. Okay. Like I'm starting from a random chapter here. I just saw that chapter number 5 is there and job scheduling problem is there. All right. So we'll start with unit number 5, job scheduling problem. So what will be given in the question? In the question will be given the number of jobs and their associated profits. Along with that, you will be given the deadline. Okay. So here in the question, which is already solved, what I am doing is I am giving you guys J1 to J5 jobs and their related profits along with their deadlines. You have to assume that irrespective of their deadlines, the job will require only 1 unit of time. Like suppose I tell you that, okay, students, you have total 5 minutes to complete the task. But you are completing, all of you are completing the task in 1 minute only. Okay, so that is the assumption that the job requires only 1 unit of time to finish. But the deadline to each of them is different. Okay, now this is greedy approach. This is greedy approach. So you will go and select whichever is the first. What you will do? The very first, okay. What you will do, the very first thing, you will arrange all the jobs in descending order based on their profits. Okay. So those of you who don't know, okay, here is the step. Step number 1. From the given data, arrange all the jobs in descending order with respect to their profits. Okay. It might happen that in the question already they are in the descending order. Like suppose like this. You see the profits, they are arranged in the descending order. Okay, but if not, then the very first step for you is to arrange all the profits in descending order. Okay. Now, after that, what you will do? You will find out that which one is having the maximum deadline. Can you see which one is having, which job is having the maximum deadline here? G4 and G5, they are having 3 seconds, let's say, or say 3 units. That means the maximum time, okay, the machine is going to run is from unit 1 to unit 3, because that is the highest deadline I'm getting. If there was 4 here, then the machine would run for 4 units of time. Okay, maximum 4 units. Now here I am going to divide those 3 units into 1 unit each. Okay, so 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Are you guys getting what we are doing in this job scheduling? We are first of all arranging all the jobs in descending order based on their profits. Okay, then we are checking that what is the maximum deadline to the given job. So we found out that 3 is the maximum deadline. That means at max, the machine will run from 1 unit of time to 3 units of time. Okay. You will divide this total 3 units into 1 unit each. The reason, the assumption. The reason is the assumption that all the jobs will do its work in 1 unit of time. Okay, so I am dividing that total 3 units into 1 unit each. So 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Okay. Now you start with J1. J1 deadline is 2. That means J1 can be completed in 0 to 1 also. J1 can be completed into 1 to 2 also. But because I am greedy and I want maximum possible task in 2 seconds. So what I will do, I will place J1 here between 1 to 2. Okay. The very last point. I am greedy. That's why what I'm doing, I'm going at the very end. Deadline for J1 is 2 units. I can keep it in the first one also. But what is the problem? I am getting one J3 also, which is having deadline as 1. Or say J2 also, which is having deadline as 2. Okay, in the question, it might happen that this J2 is given as deadline 1. That means it has to complete in first unit only. 1 means that particular job has to be completed in first unit of time only. You cannot place it between 2 to 3. You cannot place it between 1 to 2. If it is 1, that means it has to go in 0 to 1 only, because that is the deadline. Okay. Are you guys following these points? Don't make mistakes. Okay, these are some crucial small things that you need to take care. If you forget these all things, your sum will go wrong. And this is a really easy sum. You'll get around what, like 4 to 6 marks question for this. Okay, it can be expected. So now J1, I am placing where? 1 to 2, between 1 to 2. Okay. So J1 profit, I am keeping it aside 20. Next is what? J2, again it can survive till 2 units of time. But that 1 to 2, J1 is already placed. So which section of time is empty for J2? 0 to 1. Okay, so J2 is placed in 0 to 1. Alright, so these 2 space are now occupied in jobs. And what is the profit of J2? 15. Next is what? J3. Now J3, the deadline is 1. That means it needs time 0 to 1 only. But 0 to 1, it is already occupied by J2. So you will exempt this J3. Okay, you won't include this J3. Now next you'll go to J4. J4 has deadline of 3 units. So I can place very well J4 here between 2 to 3. So J4 is placed and the profit is also written here. So when you do the addition of the profit is 40 and the sequence of your job is J2, J1, J4. Am I clear? हाँ पण याद तो नતું इजी હતું તો. Students online? Clear? Okay. I'll randomly change the value here. Let's make it as 18 and this as 38 and this as 15. Okay, I'm changing the question. Solve this question, all of you. I change the values of profit. I change the values. Give me the optimal job sequence, all of you. What should be the optimal job sequence? First step, arrange in descending order of their profits. So arrange them first. This one. Tawfiq, you are late. Okay, once you arrange, what is the job arrangement that you get after arranging it in the descending order? Can you tell me what is the job arrangement? J5, J1, J4. It is wrong. J5, how can it be J5? J5, it is the lowest profit. You have to arrange in descending order of the profit. So which one will come first? J3, then J2, then J1, J4, and J5. This is the order. Okay. Now, based on this, you have to find out what is the maximum time a machine can run. 4 units, because 4 is the maximum deadline. So you divide 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Now, can you give me the optimal job sequence? J1, J3, J2, J4. One is getting J1, J2, J3, J4. Okay, let's see. See the first one, J3. J3 is having deadline what? 3 units. Okay. And I am greedy about few things here about my job. So where I'll place J3 at the very end. Okay. So J3 is placed here. Fine. Now next is what? J2. J2 again, it has 3 units. Fine. So I can keep it between 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 because 2 to 3 is already taken. Okay. So again, let's say I'm placing it here. Okay. Between 1 to 2 here. Now next is what? J1. J1 is 1 unit of time only. That means it has to be on the first one only 0 to 1. So J1 is here. Okay. Next is J4. J4 can go the deadline till 4 seconds, 4 units. So I do have one space here. So that is J4. So the answer is J1, J2, J3, J4. So what will be the profits? J1 profit is 18 plus J2 profit is 20 plus J3 profit is 38 plus J4 the profit is 15. What is the answer? 97? Online students verify. Are you guys getting 97? $91. Dhruv will recalculate. Okay. So I will try to include such revisions of small topics, one topic from now onwards. Today we did job scheduling. Okay. For the next one, you can come with fractional. You want to do right now? This fractional knapsack? Okay. All right, no problem. See, in the fractional knapsack, generally in the examination, the question can be either in theory form or in the sums like this. Okay. Now, how can it come in the theory form? It can be asked that what is the difference between fractional knapsack and 0-1 knapsack? Okay. So the answer for that is fractional knapsack is a greedy approach. 0-1 knapsack is the dynamic approach. All right. And why it is known as fractional knapsack? Because you are allowed to take fraction of weight from the given items. Whereas in 0-1, you are either supposed to take the entire item or you leave the entire item. Okay. Now here, if it comes in the form of one more question in the theory, explain fractional knapsack. So you can take a small example of 3 items as I have shown you in the explanation. Okay. And you can explain that how fractional knapsack is working. Now, if the sum comes, suppose a 4-marker question, if the sum is there, so 4-marker question, you can get 3 to 4 items in the question along with their profits and weights. So what is the first step here? Okay, our objective here is to make as much profit as we can. That is the maximum, or say that is what our goal is, because this is greedy, right? I am greedy about my profits. So I will try to make as much profit as I can. So what is the first thing that you are going to do? Your profit weight ratio. Okay, profit will be given, weights will be given, and total weight of your knapsack. Okay, that will be provided. M or W. It can be denoted by any of these one letter. Okay. First thing that you are going to do is you are going to find out the profit weight ratios of each of the item. Okay. So for each item, you found out the profit weight ratios here. Now, what you will do is you will start including these items in your knapsack and you will form one XI table. Okay, in that XI table, mark items 1, 2, 3 as X1, X2, and X3. Okay, whichever item you are taking completely, you write it as 1. Whichever fraction item you are taking, you write that fraction. And if by any chances any item is remaining, okay, then you write 0 in front, in above it. Okay, so we'll start with what? With the highest profit weight ratio, because this is my greedy approach. So I will go with the highest profit weight ratio, 1.6. Okay, that is item number 2. I am going to completely pick that item. Fine. So it is 1 written here. And if I go and add that item, that item is of 15 kg. My sack is of 20 kg. So I have to go and fill the sack of remaining 5 kg. Now, that means I need only 5 kg to fill my knapsack. Okay. So next, I will choose the next highest ratio, that is 1.5. 1.5, the weight is 10. I require only 5 kg. So I will write the fractional value 5 by 10. Okay. So that means my knapsack is entirely full. I don't need X1. So 0 is written. Fine. Now I have to find out the profit. So what will it be? Summation of Xi into profit. Whatever Xi value you have required or you have calculated here, okay, that addition, okay, the summation of those values will give you the required profit. So what is the Xi of first item? 0. What is the profit of X1? 25. So 0 into 25 plus what is the Xi value of item 2? 1. What is the profit? 24. So 1 into 24 plus what is the Xi value or say the fractional value? 5 by 10 into the profit of X3. So 15. Okay. When you do the summation, you will get the answer as 31.5. All right. So this is how you do your 0-1 knapsack. You can give this example in the theory also. If a theory is asked, explain 0-1 knapsack. You can give this small example. Take 3 items, okay, and take their profit weight ratios and explain like this. Okay. No, it does not have 3 approaches because see, if it was just for the explanation that if I go greedy by profit, the profit I'm getting is 28.3. If I go considering the weights, okay, that whichever weight is higher, I will take that profit. So if I take, then the profit I'm getting is 31. But to get the optimal solution here, we are doing the ratio of profit as well as weight. So that's why you see in all these three, 31.5 is the highest. So even that 0.5 profit also matters. All right. So even if you are getting 0.5 value greater increase, then this will be the approach that is to be picked. Okay. These two I just told you for the explanation purposes, greedy by weight and greedy by profit. Just this much. Just this much. Okay. You show that these are my items, the profits and weights. Okay. The profit weight ratio comes out to be these values. And then you draw this Xi table and give the summation of the profit. That's it. Students online, did you guys understood? We have done revision of your 2 topics, fractional knapsack and your job sequencing from greedy. Tomorrow we will do 2 more units, 2 more topics. Just let me tell you. Okay, we can do this activity selection or from unit number 4. Matrix chain. Okay, we will do this matrix chain. We will do this matrix chain. So you can revise this topic. Okay, matrix chain multiplication. Because many of you are still doing Strasson's matrix in matrix chain. Strasson's matrix is those ahead, fig G. Okay, that is your Strasson's matrix. This is matrix chain multiplication. So we will do this one tomorrow. So you can just revise it. Just have a look once. All right. Thank you, students. I'm wrapping up our session here. PD1 students, numbers in the chat. TD1 done. TD2 students numbers in the chat.